Hey guys, Jim here with another review for you today. This time we are looking at the new Stevens Model 301. This is their new line of break action single shot shotguns. They are available in 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and 410 gauge as we see here. Basically we have a variety of ammunition here. We have some 3-inch Winchester slugs, have some 2.5-inch number 6 Remington game loads, have some Hornady 2.5-inch triple defense loads, some Remington 3-inch number 4 shot, that's their Express XLR, and some Federal Premium 2.5-inch buckshot triple aught buck. So basically today we're going to be shooting at 25 and 50 yards. Figure I'll do the 25 yards with the bird shot and the buckshot, and then maybe 50 yards for the slugs. We'll just see how they do at 25 first. We're not allowed to shoot any aerial targets here at our range, just because of neighbors, so can't shoot any clays or anything like that. Might try to get some footage of that elsewhere. We'll see how it goes. So let me go ahead and get my ears on, get loaded up here, and we'll take a few shots. I'm going to start out with the Remington Express 3-inch number 4. So she might be patterned a little bit low. Okay, now we'll go up to the 2.5-inch number 6 Remingtons. New target. So they'd be a little low with these as well. Alright, let's go ahead and try some of the buckshot just for shits and giggles here. New target. This is triple aught buck, 25 yards. I'm going to put one more on this one because this seems to be shooting these really low. These are quite a bit slower than the other shells. That's a little better. Alright, now the barrel's good and toasty. Let's go down range and see how we did. Alright, this is the Remington 3-inch at 25 yards, 3 shots. As I said, it was shooting a little bit low, so on the third shot I held a little higher, which is most of what you're seeing up there in the neck, head, and above range. We come over here. There is the 2.5-inch Remington. Again, we're shooting a little bit low. Once I moved up and held on top of the head, you got that last shot up a little higher. But really, the pattern doesn't look bad there. Doesn't look real bad over here either. And now we'll go over here to the buckshot. And as you can see there, we were shooting way low on the first couple. The last 3 I shot were the higher ones there, actually on the target. These are quite a bit slower shells. I think they're 875 feet per second compared to around 1200 for the other two. Okay, so we've got some new targets downrange. We've used the bird shot and the buckshot, so we're going to try out the Hornady Critical Defense. If I get the box open here. Okay, Hornady Critical Defense. Now, those don't want to eject real well. And another one. Alright. Failure to extract and eject. This might just be a little hot for this. And we'll try one more and see what happens. Came out a little bit. Still not a full extraction or ejection now. Let's go back to some of the buckshot. Them extracted okay. No problems there. Try another one of the 3-inch Remingtons. No problem there. Go back to the 2.5-inch Remington. No problem there. So these Hornady Critical Defenses must just be a little bit hotter. As you can see, they're not wanting to eject it all. There you can go. You can see it real good. That didn't even extract the case at all, or the shell. I think what it is the case head's swelling pretty good on these. Because once the head's clear, yeah, you can actually see a bulge in that case head on there. Actually, looks like there might be a slight rough spot in there too. Got a little bit of a rounded marking on there. But you can see a definite bulge about halfway up the case, or the shell head there. Alright. Now we'll put some buckshot on that other target. She got pretty toasty again. Well, let's go down and check her out. Alright, so here we have the Hornady Critical Defense. Not a whole lot on the paper there. We shot what? About 5 shots on that one. So that's not really enthusiastic there. This target here, it was just my random, when I was going through with the different shells, checking function on the extraction and ejection. As you see, real nice spread patterns there. I got some of the buckshot up top, and then the 2 different size shots down centered up. And here we have the buckshot. So I'm shooting a little bit to the right. Okay guys, so we are back at the house now after our range testing. And unfortunately, while I was at the range, my battery died and I was not able to get the footage for shooting the Winchester 3-inch slugs. So we'll just go over the targets here real quick. This is the first target. Basically, wasn't too bad. I had a little bit of trouble getting lined up on it, just figuring out my hold. These were shot at 50 yards. So there's 5 shots. All 5 shots were on the paper. As you'll see here, this is the second target I shot. This top one here is actually a double. So all 5 shots again on the target, and the group really isn't that horrible. Probably about 5, maybe 6 inches. For a plain bead front sight with no vent rib to go off of, that's not too horrible, I don't think. I wasn't sitting down at a bench with a bag or anything. I was shooting offhand, so that's more than acceptable in my book. This time we are looking at the new Stevens Model 301 single shot break action shotguns. As you can see, we're unloaded here. Everything's good and safe. This particular example is chambered in 410 gauge with a 26-inch barrel. Stevens is also offering them in 12 gauge and 20 gauge, both with a 28-inch barrel. MSRP on these is $173. Right now, just after looking around on Gunbroker and Bud's Gun Shop and a few other online dealers, the street price is going to be around $140 to $150. The 410s seem to be running just a little bit higher, about $159, just because they seem to be real high demand and limited availability right now. They are being made in China by Sun City Manufacturing. That is the same company that is making the Stevens 320 pump action shotguns. Like the rest of you, that kind of doesn't sit well with me, but it is what it is. And the quality on this is actually pretty good, surprisingly good, to be honest. It's actually pretty interesting that Savage came out with these, because several years, about 10 years ago now, when Remington purchased the Marlin Firearms Company, they discontinued the old H&R handy rifles and partner shotguns, which were a break action single shot like these. And since then, there really hasn't been much on the market for this type of firearm. I think Rossi might have made some for a little while. This is actually very similar to the Rossi design. I'm not sure if Rossi still makes them or not. Alright, so the barrel on the 410 model is 26 inches long. It features a 3-inch chamber, so it'll shoot both 2.5 and 3-inch shells. Has a brass bead front sight, and it also has a wind choke screw-in choke tube. Savage does include a pretty rudimentary universal stamped steel choke tube wrench here. I'm not impressed, but it gets the job done. The only choke included with the gun is a modified choke. I imagine that's going to be the same for the 12 and 20 gauge. As far as choke tubes, where to get them, right now I'm not sure if Savage has them available themselves. I did shoot an email off to them. I haven't heard back yet. I imagine they will, but if not, I'm sure the aftermarket choke companies such as Trulock or Brenke or the others will offer them. It is a standard wind choke tube for the gauge, so it'll just go through them. And actually, if you go with the aftermarket, you'll get a much higher quality choke tube, and you're almost guaranteed to get better patterns than you will with a factory choke because they're typically pretty low quality. The trigger on this pulls at about 8 pounds on average. Not horrible. It is a shotgun. It doesn't need to be super light, but generally I typically like to have my shotguns down around 5 pounds, so it is a little heavy. Alright, so probably my biggest pet peeve with the new Stevens 301 is this little safety lever on the side. I've just never understood why after 100 plus years of exposed hammer guns with the half-cock position, all of a sudden manufacturers felt the need to add an additional safety lever that you have to manually operate. It just doesn't make any sense to me because it really, in effect, does not add any level of additional safety to the firearm. The way this is supposed to operate, if you follow the instructions in the owner's manual, is you will break the action open. You will then pull the hammer back to the half-cock position. Remember, there is no half-cock notch here. And while holding it in half-cock position, you will rotate the safety into the engaged position or the on position. Okay, you will then load your shell and close the action. You then go out and do your hunting. When you're ready to fire, you pull it back to the full cock position, disengage the safety lever, and you can then fire. Now, this does have a transfer bar integrated into the design, which is another reason I don't see the need for the manual safety. With a half-cock position and a transfer bar, that's as safe is going to get. There's really nothing more you can do. You transport the gun in a half-cock position. There's no possible way, if you drop the gun, do anything with it, it's not going to go off. If you have it around in the chamber with the hammer all the way down, and you drop the gun and the hammer bounces or anything, it still cannot go off because the trigger has not been pulled to engage the transfer bar. It's as safe gets. You do not need a silly, goofy safety lever on the side of the gun. The furniture on the 301 is a glass reinforced nylon, and it's actually a pretty good high quality stock. I really haven't been able to find any flex or give in it anywhere, which, as you guys that own Savages know, is very typical of their synthetic stocks. Now, given this is a two-piece design, you don't have that weak piece in the center where it's bridging the receiver, which is usually where most of your flex is introduced. But even so, this is a pretty long buttstock here with a very small connection point to the receiver. And even, I'm really trying here and I can just barely get it to flex. So, very nice job on the stocks. The fit to the receiver and to the barrel is very, very good. It's a nice smooth transition. That was always one of my complaints with the old H&Rs and New England firearms break actions like this, is that the wood stocks never really fit up well to the receivers. Nothing wrong with that, it worked, but it just wasn't that nice fit trim finish like you have here. So much nicer in that regard than the older H&Rs and NEFs. Something else these have is a nice molded in checkering pattern, as well as some stylization design here, both on the fore end and the grip area. It's not overly grippy or textury, but it's enough to provide a good purchase. It's not going to tear up your hands under recoil or anything like that, but especially if you're wearing gloves, it's going to give you good traction. Takedown on the 301 is pretty straightforward and simple. First, just basically make sure you're unloaded. Make sure the hammer is in the down position. You'll notice there is a button sticking out of the tip of the fore end up here. That is your takedown button. You will depress that, grab the barrel, and just pull away. That will pop that off. Then you press the brake open lever, rotate down, and the barrel will come off. And as you can see, it's pretty much a very simple design, just like the original H&Rs. Putting it back together is just the reverse. Hook the notch on the pin, rock it up until it locks. Take your fore end, get it started and lined up. Now you do need to push the button in to get it to go up on over that lug, and then just give it a little squeeze until the button pops out. You know it's locked in. And it's as simple as that. Alright guys, overall view and impressions of the Stevens 301. Basically, I think it's a very, very good shotgun. much nicer than I expected for being made in China. The trigger, as noted before, is a little heavy at about 8 pounds, but that really is my only gripe about it, other than the safety, which we've already covered. Has a really nice stock on it, real nice butt pad, breaks open nice and easy, comes with an ejector so you don't have to pluck your cases. The hammer spring isn't super stiff, it's not light, but it's not ridiculous. Takes down real easy. Brass bead on the front, you know, changeable choke tubes even on the 410. So just, you know, a lot of bang for the buck in this for around $150 on the street. So if you're looking for a break action or just a really cheap shotgun to throw on the ATV or in the UTV or keep with you in the combine or on the tractor for work around the farm or the homestead, give it a consideration. It's actually a pretty good gun for the money. Have a good one.